Hey, everybody. Welcome to the On the Right Side podcast, coming to you live from the America First Warehouse every Wednesday at 4 p.m. I'm your host, Steve Levy, former county executive here in Suffolk County, former New York State Assemblyman, and the current president and founder of the Center for Cost-Effective Government, a fiscally conservative think tank based in New York. Normally, I have David Zaire as my co-host here at the outlet at the Ronkonkoma warehouse here. But David is in Belgium, believe it or not, running sidekick to Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. They have some kind of thing going on over there with the military, and David is embedded with them. So every once in a while he chooses Hegseth or President Trump over our show. I let him get away with it. It's all right. That gives me 60 minutes to go over all kinds of stuff. So I have a little freedom here today. And one of the things I want to start off with is one of the issues that I have delved into since I was the county executive here in Suffolk County from 2004 to 2012. And that was the time where illegal immigration was becoming a really hot issue nationwide, and especially on Long Island, where the economy was picking up and you had all of these day laborers coming over and a big controversy. What do we do about it? So many people wanted to look the other way. The Wall Street Journal, Chamber of Commerce, Republicans loved welcoming in all these people for the cheap labor. And, of course, the Democrats and all their not-for-profit groups were profiting handsomely by this illegal immigration surge. The Democrats would get votes from them and eventual constituents, and the not-for-profits would get money galore coming to them to deal with the illegals. But what really kicks me is when you see the Catholic Church and the Pope in particular starting to get involved from a moral perspective. It just burns me to no end how the Pope has been going around the world, and this is an American Pope, but he's taken the baton from the South American Pope, Pope Francis, before him, who have been basically preaching open borders throughout the world. And they're suggesting that if you are for national sovereignty or for an orderly immigration process that does not allow illegal immigration, that you are on the wrong side of the Lord. What do I mean by that? Guys in the booth, Bill, put on the first asset on the screen here. Look at this article that popped up through the AP the other day. Pope urges traffickers to repent. Okay, here's the first sentence in that article. Pope Leo warned people smugglers on Friday that they will face God's wrath by exploiting the desperation of migrants, demanding that they stop and repent. Hey, newsflash, Pope Leo, you know why they're doing this? Because you are enabling them. And so few people, whether in the Republican Party or J.D. Vance or whatever, are willing to come out and say it. I mean, President Trump has pushed back, and then he got clobbered for saying, what the hell is the Pope doing criticizing me for just trying to keep illegal immigrants out? But that's what the Pope has been doing, giving this ridiculous argument that if you're a Christian, you're a Catholic, it's your duty to take everyone in. Well, wait a minute. Does the Vatican take everyone in? Last time I checked, they have armed guards. Why? Because not everyone is allowed to just go into the Pope's quarters. Not everyone is allowed to just be an illegal immigrant and pop a tent up in the middle of Vatican City and now say it's their home. You're supposed to play by rules. And speaking of rules, folks, any of you folks ever go to Catholic school? I did. Steve Levy. I bet you're all thinking, oh, I was a Jewish kid who went to Catholic school. My dad was Jewish. My mom was Italian Catholic. I grew up in Queens. You know what happened when you grew up in Queens in the 60s? You didn't go to public schools if you could help it. You tried to avoid it. They were violent. They weren't very good. So you went to the Catholic school. So I went to the St. Pancras Elementary School in Glendale, Queens. And you know what I learned there from the Catholic nuns? You wait in line. You play by the rules. And if you cut the line, we'll whack you on the knuckles and put you in the corner. Well, what's happened since I went to Catholic school? Put up the next asset, if you would, Bill. Here's what's going on Long Island, at least. Long Island Catholic groups, quote, do more on deportation. That's a message they're sending to their bishops. Hey, bishops, you need to have more lectures at the church to tell us parishioners that we have to accept illegal immigrants. They never say illegal. They blur the distinction between legal and illegal and say it's your duty under God's law to take everyone in. Well, and let them cut the line. That's not what they were telling me in Catholic school, okay? So why is this happening? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but here's one of them. Let's put up the next asset, Bill. Okay, here's some numbers for you, folks. These traffickers who the Pope is criticizing and telling to repent, in the Trump administration, they were making about $500 million. Fast forward to Biden and his surge. They were collecting $13 billion from all these people they were trafficking, putting these kids and these women in harm's way, getting raped, going into these sexploitation environments, dying along the 1,000-mile trek. Why were these people making this dangerous trek? Because the Pope was encouraging them to do it. Because these bishops were encouraging them to do it. Why? Let's look a little further. The U.S. Conference on Bishops got $14.6 million in 2019 from the federal government. Why they were getting anything from the federal government at that point, I don't know, but to help with refugees and migrants. Under Biden in 2022, it jumped 800% to $123 million. Catholic Charities. Let's look at just one chapter, San Diego. They were making $12 million a year in 2020. By 2023, $65 million. You can bring it back to me, guys. This is the scam going on, folks. The Catholic Church, who is supposed to be the moral arbiters, are encouraging illegality, are encouraging the American people to have an open border, in part because the Catholic Church was profiting so handsomely from all of these funds going to the NGOs, including Catholic Charities. Now, here's the ultimate irony. The reason we have a border is because you need national sovereignty. Why do you need national sovereignty? So we, the American people, can control our own destiny. We don't want to become the Taliban, where girls are not allowed to get educated past 5th grade. We don't want to live under Sharia law, as in some of these Muslim nations, where if a woman does something that's frowned upon, they'll be stoned to death. We don't want to live in communist China, where religion is forbidden. You're put in jail if you practice your religion, and that's the ultimate irony. We need borders because we need our national sovereignty. It was the national sovereignty of America that protected the church, that protected freedom of religion around the world. You lose your national sovereignty, you lose your ability to project Western values, which is a protection of the freedom of religion. That's the ultimate irony. It's this Pope and the Pope before him promoting the Marxist in Central and South America, promoting the Marxists around the world, denigrating the West. What do you have now in Europe since the Pope's edicts of open borders have allowed to flourish? You have an evisceration of national sovereignty, which is why you have attacks on Christians now throughout Europe, which is why you have hotbeds of Sharia law popping up throughout Europe, which is why you have a diminution of your freedom of speech. Say something that's considered offensive now in some of these countries and you'll be arrested, as is the case in England, where 30 people a day were being arrested for posts that were placed on social media that the state did not like. Or look at Germany, where they brag about arresting people for posting things that some elements in society don't like. So Pope Leo, cut us a break. The president's doing the right thing by closing our borders, preserving our national sovereignty, so we in America can protect your freedom of speech, your freedom of religion, and freedom of religion around the world. Hope you like that segment. There's more like it in 2 minutes, folks, on the right side.
Most people think they have options when searching for the best deals when they travel. But here's the shocking truth. 100% of the major travel agencies are owned by just two entities, Expedia and Booking Holdings. They claim to offer the lowest rates, but due to the hotel rate parity agreement, they all have the same pricing, limiting genuine competition. When you book through these sites, you act as your own travel agent, but the profits are going to organizations that don't support our patriot values. We cannot allow that to continue. So, we decided to make travel great again by starting a US-based travel membership platform, mypatriottravel.com. We are patriots helping patriots. Together, we can disrupt the travel industry by not spending our hard-earned dollars supporting the radical left. For just $29.99 per month, you gain access to true wholesale rates on travel, saving you on average 35% and up to 65%. Book as often as you like, with no limits. Keep your hard-earned dollars in your pocket and spend them on things you need and want to support. Go to mypatriottravel.com/TAFW and grab your membership today. mypatriottravel.com/TAFW, making travel great again.
Are you a true American? Then it's time to get connected. Download the America First Media and Television app and stay up to date with real news, bold voices, and live events from the America First Warehouse. From national broadcasts and exclusive shows to comedy nights, concerts, and special events. It's all right at your fingertips. No filters, no spin, just America First. Download the America First Media and Television app today and be part of the movement.
I'm sure you guys remember the platinum single, Justice for All, with Donald Trump and the J6 Prison Choir. Well, get ready for round two. We're coming out with Anthem of the Free with High Res and the J6 Prison Choir. It's coming out now. It's pre-sale until December 19th when it drops. Get yours on all platforms, Google Play, Apple iTunes. Get it. It's going to be hot.
Justice for all, our voices ring. The anthem of the free.
It's me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse, most patriotic venue in all the land.
The America First Warehouse, a beacon for all to see. A symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we stand tall and free. In the America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
Hey, folks, welcome back to the On the Right Side podcast here from the Long Island-based America First Warehouse. I'm Steve Levy, your co-host. I am the president of the and executive director of the Center for Cost-Effective Government, which is a fiscally conservative think tank. Before that, I was a politician here on Long Island, the Suffolk County executive and a New York State Assembly member. And I usually have David Zaire from Real America's Voice as my co-host. He's on assignment with the Defense Department over in Belgium. I want to give a shout-out to Joe the Box, who is the man who is the proprietor for this amazing warehouse. If you've never been here, you have to make it here. It is a mecca for patriots. Amazing live events that we have here, book signings, rallies, viewings of the inauguration, and so many other fun things. You got to get down here. If you want to see what they do, go to the AmericaFirstWarehouse.com or America First Media and Television. One of the things I love about this, and thank you, Joe DeBox, for the opportunity, is I get to talk about things I wrote about in my book, the Center for the Solutions to America's Problems, which I wrote a few years ago. And I also wrote another book called Bias in the Media. And I was a Democrat for a long time. And I used to laugh at my Republican friends who I would say, yeah, there's no bias in the media. It's in your mind, you know. And then I became a Republican in 2010 because I had it with the Democratic Party, which I saw going in this socialist direction, Marxist direction, in fact, even back then. And after I became a Republican and the media changed on me so dramatically, you know, I told my friends, you know, you were wrong. You actually underrepresented the amount of bias that is in the media. And I've written a lot about it. And I kind of dovetail my writings about the bias in the media with a lot of my findings in my book, Solutions to America's Problems. And one of them popped up, an article popped up the other day, which molded the two. Guys, if you could put it up on the screen. This was a headline. It was an AP article, Associated Press, which, as you know, they think they're moderate, neutral sources. They're far left, right? And the headline is, New Medicaid Rules Worry Some Patients. And if you read through this article, it's a litany of different people who are scared and all these organizations that, oh, this mean Trump administration and the mean Republicans are throwing all of these people off of social services and Medicare and Medicaid. They're so cruel. All they want to do is give tax breaks to the billionaires and hurt the little guy. And I'll tell you, it just blows my mind because you really have to read further into this to understand what it's all about. All that the Trump administration is doing is saying, number one, if you're an illegal alien, you shouldn't be on Medicaid. That's number one. And number two, if you're an American citizen or someone eligible for Medicaid, and you're an able-bodied individual, you should have to work. Now, that's not a foreign concept, is it? Democrat Bill Clinton implemented workfare in the late 90s along with the Republican Congress. And you know what? It worked beautifully. You had the liberals having their hair on fire back then. Even Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan wrote about how this was going to lead to carnage in the streets, blah, 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 blah. Nonsense. There was a 60% reduction in the welfare rolls. People were told you have 5 years to be on welfare, and then you have to get off. And you're going to have to get a job if you're able-bodied. There would be exception for the blind, people who lost their limbs in accidents or something like this. But other than that, you're able-bodied. You'd have to go out and work. And it did work because it incentivized people to get off their duffs, to get a job, no longer dependent on the government, become self-sufficient, and work yourself up the economic ladder. We had booming times in the late 90s, and this was part of it. It helped everyone, not just the taxpayers, but the people who were stuck on the dependency of the dole for all this time. It worked. So what happens? Along come the Democrats. In 2008, Barack Obama gets elected. And what does he do? So, this is cruel. We've got to lessen the requirements. We can't force people to work. So they started lessening the requirements. Remember, this was also the time where you had the crashing of the real estate market. So they were looking to just hand out the money, hand over fist. So they lowered the requirements. Workfare became a thing of the past. Then along comes Biden, and he weakened things even further, to the point where now you have over only 60 some odd percent of all the eligible people from ages like 18 to 64, the working core, who are actually working. About 40% of the people just said, I'm not working. 7 million able-bodied men in that age bracket just stopped looking for work. They said, I'm not working anymore. Now, why do they do this? Why can they do this? Because our system is so liberal now that it allows these people to stay at home and collect a check. In fact, in Pennsylvania, they did a study, and it's in my book. In Pennsylvania, you could stay home and collect all different sources of income from the government. It amounts to a job where you'd be earning $57,000 a year. Why would you go to work if you can sit back and do this? So what did the Trump administration say? So let's go back to the Clinton program. You got to work. Now, how much did you have to work? 80 hours. 80 hours a week? No. 80 hours a month. 20 hours a week. Not only just work, you could also say, I can't work, I'll volunteer. I couldn't find a job. Then you got to volunteer. Oh, no, that's too much for us. So you go back to that article from the AP. They have this person who says, I want to try and find it though, where the person said, I am a freelance writer and I suffer from depression and I have diabetes, so I can't work. Now, you know how many millions of people have diabetes in America and they work, they get treated for the diabetes with drugs and shots, and they go to work. Oh, but he's depressed. Well, you know what? I'm depressed too. I'm depressed by the fact that tax dollars are coming out of my pocket to pay this guy Tim to sit on his ass and say he's too depressed to go to work. That's the joke of what has happened to this system. I have a whole section in my book, Solutions to America's Problems, which deals with disability. Disability is the new scam of the 21st century. The fastest growing segment of the disabled population, so-called disabled population now, are people who claim they have too much stress or they have lower backache, folks. Hey, if you're over 45, do you not have a lot of stress in your life? Do you not have lower backaches? Are we going to tell all these people you don't have to work? We'll give you a check to Social Security disability? It's an absolute joke, okay? Here's some of the facts and figures on this. Social Security disability in 1990, there were only 4 million people in that program. By 2000, there were 6.7 million in that program. By 2020, that 4.3 million doubled to 8.6 million people. We have 95 million people in this country who have stopped looking for work. It's absolutely ridiculous. 15% of the population in the state of West Virginia is now on some kind of disability roll. Absolutely unbelievable, folks. You know what kind of culture this is? It's a culture that has now allowed here in New York, one of the reasons our taxes are so high, 63% of retired fire department workers in New York State, from the New York City Fire Department, are on retired disability, okay? In the Long Island Railroad, people outside of Long Island think I'm making this up, but the people in Long Island know it's real. They did a survey of the retirees from the Long Island Railroad, take a guess, folks, how many of those people were receiving disability payments in retirement? Okay, not making this up. You think it's 50%, 60%, 75%? 98%! 98% of all the retirees on the Long Island Railroad were collecting a disability payment, a disability pension. And you know what else they found? They all went through 3 doctors, 3 doctor groups. It was a scam. It was fake. It was phony. It was a fraud. And that's what you're seeing being uncovered right now with the all the abuses in the daycare system up in Minnesota, or in the hospice programs over in California. It's rife with fraud, folks. And disability abuse is one of the main areas of fraud in New York and throughout the nation. So we wish J.D. Vance, our vice president, the best of luck in getting to the bottom of this, because it's robbing us blind and it's taking money away from those who are truly disabled, who truly need it. And the media, stop making the Republicans the bad guys for getting the couch loafers off their asses and back to work, for stop getting the illegal aliens off of the dole. It's about time. More power to you. Stay with us, folks, on the Right Side. We got a lot more juicy stuff in the next 2 segments.
250 years ago, a nation was born, built on courage, driven by freedom, defined by patriots who stood their ground. Today, we don't just remember that legacy, we wear it. This is more than a shirt. It's a symbol of strength, freedom, and pride. I'm Steve Stern, COO of theflagshirt.com, and I invite you to celebrate 250 years of the United States with us. Wear your pride, stand for something, get your shirts today.
Politics feeling broken? What if you could match with politicians the way you match on a dating app, but based on real values? Meet OpScore from GoUSA, the first ever values-based political matchmaker. Think Match.com for elections that aligns voters with politicians. We score politicians on a nonpartisan scale based on your priorities. Track your politician scores and take our OpScore Challenge survey to match with leaders who align with you at opscore.org. Stop voting blind. Start matching smart. Politicians work for you.
Are you a true American? Then it's time to get connected. Download the America First Media and Television app and stay up to date with real news, bold voices, and live events from the America First Warehouse. From national broadcasts and exclusive shows to comedy nights, concerts, and special events. It's all right at your fingertips. No filters, no spin, just America First. Download the America First Media and Television app today and be part of the movement.
Corporate transfer. Find professional, moving and storage, and inventory management.
If the vote count is accurate, then how come the number of voters is different? And if it's not accurate, then why was it certified? We are suing Letitia James and the New York State Board of Elections for a conspiracy against fundamental rights. This is not about who won. It's not about what party. It's about the fact that they don't care about your rights.
It's me, Joe the Box. And I'm John the Blanket with the America First Podcast.
That's what I'm talking about. The Fred Rubino Podcast, coming to you from the America First Warehouse.
Welcome, everybody, to the James Justice Show, tearing these airwaves apart with all the craziness that goes on in the world.
Welcome to the Patriots Podcast. Good evening, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the On the Right Side podcast here at the America First Warehouse in Long Island, New York.
Shane Jenkins here with another episode of Liberty's Cage.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our podcast, Red, Right, and True.
We are streaming live on America First Media and Television app.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Downey Jr. Podcast. Be free, stay free.
The America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
Hey, welcome back to part 3 of 4 here on the Right Side podcast, coming to you from the America First Warehouse on Long Island, New York. I'm Steve Levy, your co-host, former county executive here in Long Island and a New York State Assembly member. And I'm the executive director of the Center for Cost-Effective Government, fiscally conservative think tank. David Zaire, my usual partner, is away on assignment. He's from Real America's Voice. Thank you, Joe DeBox, for making this all possible. And we have another two segments. And on this segment, I want to get into something that really blew my mind. I know you guys have been following what's been going on in Maine with this Nazi sympathizer, self-admitted communist, Plattner, Graham Plattner, who is now the Democratic nominee to take on Susan Collins for the Senate seat in Maine. Okay, it has been hilarious, somewhat sad, and hilarious at the same time, to watch Democrats twist themselves in pretzels to try to justify their support for this horrible human being, Plattner. Now, we all know by now that he had a tattoo on his chest that wasn't just a Nazi tattoo. It was a tattoo of the division within the Nazis that actually were the prison guards for the death camps in Germany, Poland, et cetera, et cetera. So these reporters go up to Maine and start doing some interviews on the street at the diners and asking people, how do you justify supporting a guy who is so supportive of this Nazi stuff? And you got to roll this tape from a woman who's being interviewed. You think she's just a woman on the street. This woman ran against Susan Collins in 2008. Listen to what she said. Go.
Totem pole tattoo, the Nazi tattoo. How do you kind of?
Somebody said that they talked to somebody who had seen one of those or wore one of those, and it was silver, and it didn't even occur to him that it was the same thing. I think people are making as much of it as they can because they don't have a lot of substance around anything else. And if they did, we'd hear about it, believe me. They are trolling for dirt.
What if he had like a Israeli flag tattoo or something? Would that be a deal breaker?
For me?
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
That would be
Israeli? Yeah, because I don't support genocide, and he doesn't either. And that would show that he was being inconsistent. And he's been very consistent about this.
Okay, that's
straight across
enough.
the board.
Did you hear that, folks? Did you hear that? This is a woman who was a candidate for the United States Senate on the Democratic side saying, yeah, it's those Jews, it's the Israelis who are committing genocide. Not the Nazis who put them in ovens, 6 million of them, during World War II. You know, having the Nazi symbol, that's not really an indication of being in favor of genocide. But if you had an Israeli flag, oh, that's genocide. That's how freaking crazy this Democratic Party has become. And I say that as a former Democrat. I was a Democrat for most of my political career when JFK and Bill Clinton were normal Democrats. Those guys could not get elected in a primary today, but they are way, way off the deep end. So now all of these crazy professors who are polluting the minds of our young people in these university bubbles, okay, they're now becoming the norm. They used to be the fringe, the anomalies. Now their way of thinking has permeated the Democratic Party where they are the tail that's wagging the dog. How much of an impact have these left-wing professors and the universities had on our American psyche, our American public? Well, look at these polls that came out recently asking the American people, are you proud to be an American? What does America mean to you? Would you fly the American flag on the 4th of July? The numbers are shocking and outright scary, folks. You probably saw this, but if you didn't, it's an eye-opener, okay? When asked, are you proud to be an American? 89% of Republicans, absolutely. proud to be an American. The number for Democrats, hold on to your chairs, folks, 29%. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, that's because they hate Trump, like crazy Robert De Niro, who said at a forum the other day, I can't be proud of my country. I can't support America when Donald Trump's in office, okay? Well, the point is, it's not just when Trump was in office. They've been down on America when Biden was in office, when Obama was in office. Now, going back to 2001, and I'm talking about before September 11, 2001. This is January 2001, after a horrible election fiasco with the hanging Chad. Remember that? Even back then, Democrats proud to be an American, 85%. It was on par with Republicans. Today, 29%. Something happened, and it wasn't just Donald Trump. It's been the indoctrination of a generation by all of these crazy leftist professors that are having an impact on the American people. This is why, folks, the demographics of the two political parties have completely done a 180. It used to be that higher income educated folks were Republicans, and working people, working class, people without college education were the Democrats, the union people, et cetera, et cetera. It's flipped on its head. Now it's the working class people who are looking Republican, and the Democrats are the upper middle class who went to college and graduated college. They are poisoning a generation, which is why not only are these people in the Democratic Party un-American, they hate Jewish people. They hate the Jews. Why? Because critical race theory that seeped into their mind tells them that if you're Jewish, you're white, and you're pro-capitalism, so you are the bad exploiters. If you're brown and you're Palestinian, you've been exploited, you're the victim, we're with you. That's the way it works in the mindset of these people who went through these university systems. So the fact that they're unpatriotic goes hand in hand with the fact that they're becoming more and more anti-Semitic, anti-Western, anti-American. You know what the biggest kick in the head is? You're watching the World Cup right now. The most fun you'll see is looking at the podcast and the Instagrams of these people coming over from Scotland, from Germany, and from these other areas, and they're just going to the Waffle House for the first time, and they're loving it. They're going to a Texas barbecue. They're going to a country music concert. They're going to a Walmart. And they're telling back their friends, this place is so cool. I love America. I want to stay here. This place is awesome. So those people from another land come here and fall in love with America. But it's our own Americans, at least in the Democratic Party, who hate this country, who say they want to live abroad. Hey, here's the door. Go leave anytime you want, okay? But they don't, because they're full of it. They know once they get over there, they see how repressive it is, how hard it is to make a living, how hard it is to earn unlimited amounts, how hard it is to speak your mind. All of a sudden, maybe this place isn't so bad over here, but they'll never admit it. So, folks, we got a lot of cleaning up to do because it's really worrisome as to where the Democratic Party is going. We now have people not only like Plattner, started off this conversation with that tattoo with Plattner. It's not just him. There was a Democrat elected in Jersey who was who was a witness for the sheik who tore down who tried to tear down the World Trade Center back in the 1990s. You have a guy in Michigan who's running, who's a fierce anti-Semite. They're all over the place, and they're starting to take root within the Democratic Party, where they now are running that party because that's where the money is, that's where the activity is, and that's why you have moderates in the Democratic Party who are totally silent because they're scared they're going to lose a primary to these crazies on the left. So we got a lot of work to do, folks. Even with the Trump win in 2024, we haven't vanquished these guys. You would have thought that the Democrats, when they did their analysis, would have said, we went too far left, let's steer center. They're not. They're saying we lost, we have to go further left to try to win in November. It's really crazy, but that's where we're going. AOC and Bernie Sanders are now the head of the Democratic Party. Did you see this one? Did you see the video of that recent graduate from Cornell who had originally answered an ad for an internship? And then there was a follow-up, and the guys, these two Jewish guys who run the company, wanted to bring him in for an interview, and then they saw the name of the owners, and the guy realizes, oh, they're two Jews. He writes back to them, no, I didn't know you were Jewish. I will not work for a Jew. No joke. No joke. And the Jewish guys they didn't want to kill the guy's career, so they didn't even post his name. They just said, look at this, how horrible this. And then the kid from Cornell doubles down and says, yeah, that was me, and I stand by what I said. Unbelievable. This is the type of anti-Semitism that is germinating from the university system, the same way the American bashing is germinating from within our university system. Wake up, folks. We need to turn this around. We'll be back for one more segment in 2 minutes on the right side.
Me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse, most patriotic venue in all the land.
The America First Warehouse, a beacon for all to see, a symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we stand tall and free. In the America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
The America First Ultra MAGA Store. For all your MAGA needs. We sell t-shirts, tumblers, flags, hats, sneakers, bumper stickers, and a whole lot more. The most patriotic America First retail store. The America First Ultra MAGA Store.
Let's go!
Rav family, it's time to stand up and fight back.
We have to be tough.
Join fellow patriots at the America First Warehouse for AMAC's Boot Camp for Patriots.
Yes, sir!
An incredible 2-day event designed to teach you how policy gets implemented, how grassroots movements create change, and how you can help shape the future of America.
Proud and free and standing tall.
On June 19th, don't miss Real America's Voice live on site with a special taping of Live from Studio 6B, the Freedom Truck, live music and barbecue. And on June 20th, it's Vendor Village, followed by AMAC's Boot Camp for Patriots live event. Tickets are limited and going fast. Scan the QR code now and reserve your spot today. 2 days of training, fellowship, and action brought to you by AMAC. Get your tickets now before they're gone.
America First Warehouse was really the most patriotic venue that you can ever imagine. We wanted to build something for people to be able to come to and feel so comfortable and so relaxed because there is nothing out there like it. We give an opportunity for people to really feel good about themselves and about this great country.
The America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
Hey, folks, you're back with us at the America First Warehouse. This is the On the Right Side podcast. I'm your host, Steve Levy, former Suffolk County Executive and New York State Assemblyman, and my regular co-host, David Zayer's out on assignment today. He's with Real America's Voice. If you ever want to follow my commentary, I ask you to go to my website at stevelevy.info. You'll see many of my writings that appear in the Washington Examiner, Washington Times, many of them in Newsmax. That's probably my number one place where my articles appear. You'll see a lot of my commentary on cable. And you could also catch our white papers on the Center for Cost-Effective Government if you want to see how we can save Social Security, or why Medicaid is exploding so dramatically, or what we have to do to control the power of the municipal unions. It's all there on the website, centerforcosteffectivegovernment.org. So now in our final segment, we got to talk about something that is a really hot topic, the hottest topic of the moment. It's what's going on in Iran. And I think we have to be very honest, folks. When we have these talk fests here, you know, we have to call balls and strikes, and we have to call them like we see them, or what good are we? You know, we can't be sycophants, and we can't be all in on this guy or all against that guy. You got to go with a facts lead and try to tell truth. And I was very upfront that I was very supportive of the president, President Trump, and having the bravery and being the one guy who wouldn't just talk the talk, but was willing to walk the walk and go after Iran and defang them and stop them from getting a nuclear weapon. The Obama deal, the JCPOA, was a joke. It indeed gave them a roadmap to a bomb. It had a 10-year time limit on it. They were allowed to keep their centrifuges and to create all the dust and have it ready so at the end of the 10 years they could make their bomb. And it also gave them hundreds of billions of dollars. Horrible deal all the way around. President Trump comes in, tears it up. It's disgusting. It's terrible. We took our foot off of their necks. We had them, and then they rebuilt. And they put all that money into terrorism to create hegemony around the Middle East. So now the Trump administration finds out these guys are this close to getting the bomb. We got to take them out. And he had the bravery to do it. God bless him. And he had them on the ropes. And along with Israel, we had destroyed their defenses. They were sitting ducks. We could do anything we want with our missiles, our F-16s and our Patriots to take out their leadership beyond where they're taken out already, and to make them humble to the point where maybe we'd have a regime change and bring them to the table. But I don't know what happened, folks. I'll tell you, I don't like what I'm hearing with this potential deal. Now, we don't know all the details, which is one of the problems. How can you come out with this deal and not let people see what it is? We'll see what it is on Friday, but then it's too late. It's already signed. So the only way this can be good is, and it's in articles that I've written about a couple of weeks ago, is if we get that nuclear dust and they don't get a dime until we do. But it's looking like, as to the dust, there's just an agreement to have further negotiations, which, okay, is not the end of the world so long as they're not getting any money in the meantime. But the sanctions, it looks like, are going to be removed. And now there's talk about having the Arab countries give $300 billion to Iran. Now we keep hearing from the president and J.D. Vance that, oh, well, that doesn't happen until thresholds are met. I don't know. We haven't seen that yet. That wouldn't be so bad. But what are those thresholds? One of those thresholds better be you don't get a dime until we get the dust. I don't think that's going to happen, folks. I don't think it's going to happen. So if that doesn't happen, and it's 60 days down the road and you're in September or August, you're right near the midterms. Are you going to start up the kinetic military fighting again? I don't think so. You know, maybe you'll get a drop in the oil prices over that time, and maybe the Republican chances for November may increase a little bit, but you can't be looking at this short term. You have to be looking at this long term. If these guys get a bomb, we're done. They now control that whole Middle East area, because anytime we want to do something conventionally where we have the advantage right now, we can't do it because there'll be a nuclear force. And that's why Israel's sitting back and saying, what the hell's going on here? You know, we have them. We can go in there any time with our jets and blow them to smithereens, take out their bridges, take out their infrastructure, take out their power plants. And the president's saying, whoa, hold off. Worse still is telling the Israelis you can't retaliate when Hezbollah is lobbing rockets into your northern part of Israel. Could you imagine if the cartels were lobbing bombs into Arizona or Texas? You don't think we would wipe them out thereafter? Look what happened just a week or two ago. Iran shot at one of our helicopters. We retaliated militarily immediately. But we're telling Bibi and the Israelis they can't do this? I think it's a big mistake. It's almost telling Iran that you win. I mean, and the president's approval rating in Israel, he was a god to the Israelis. They were building statues for the president. They were naming buildings after him. They were naming children after him. His popularity has sunk below 50% now. I don't get this. Why are you telling our ally you have to hold off and allow Hezbollah to bomb you? And let's face it, Hezbollah is Iran. Iran is Hezbollah. Here's Iran allowing Hezbollah to bomb Israel. And our president, we're telling the Israelis, you can't respond because it's Hezbollah, it's not Iran. Everybody knows Hezbollah is Iran. Come on, you can't abandon your ally that way. What kind of message is that sending? It's not a good one. You know, I think things shifted there when the president took away Marco Rubio as being the focal point there, the point man. Rubio is a U.S. involvement type of guy, where J.D. Vance is far more of an isolationist. In the camp of a Marjorie Taylor Greene, a Tucker Carlson, those who want us to just retreat. Marco Rubio is in that camp where it says, look, we're a force for moral good throughout the world. And if we leave a vacuum, the bad guys fill it. It was Iran that wanted, and they said it publicly, they wanted to negotiate with Vance, not Rubio. And I understand why. Because this deal that's being put together, and the vice president is trying his darndest to get people behind it. But I don't know if that's going to happen if it comes out like we think it might. Now, there might be a silver lining here, that everything that Vice President Vance is saying is true, that they will not get a cent until all of our things are checked off. But it doesn't appear that that's where it's going. It doesn't appear that the Arab states are going to be prohibited from making that $300 billion investment in Iran until we get the dust. I don't think that's going to happen. And you can't turn around and say, well, it's not American taxpayer dollars. You can't say, well, it's not going to go to terrorism. It's going to go to all of these humanitarian purposes or for infrastructure. Baloney. We all know the money is fungible. When they get $100 billion for one thing, it frees up another $100 billion somewhere else to go where? To go back to Hezbollah, to go back to bombs and infrastructure and building up their nuclear arsenal. I'm not liking this, folks. I do hope I'm wrong. I really do. And if it is indeed the type of plan that the president is saying, that they don't get anything until we get that nuclear dust, then President Trump is going down as history as this century's Winston Churchill. He will have revolutionized the Middle East, and you'll see all of these other Gulf countries coming behind America into the Abraham Accords, and the world will be truly a better place, and they'll be without nuclear weapons, and we won't have to worry about a nuke coming over on a barge from Iran because he will have snuffed it out. But if we went through all of this, folks, all of this economic pain, for us to take the foot off of their necks when they were so vulnerable, and they get all this money, and we don't have a guarantee that we get that dust, and they can't have a nuclear program, even a civil nuclear program, then this was all for naught. I hope to God we're not going down that route. I hope we didn't seem so desperate as Obama did back in 2015 to get any deal that we can get to say, all right, we're done with this. That's what the problem was with Obama. And then we had a President Trump who tore that crap up and said, no, we're going to bargain from strength. Well, you know, the best bargaining position is when you crippled them militarily. And we've gone a long way. We took out a lot of their leadership. We took out a lot, the Navy and their Air Force, but it's not enough. We could have kept going. The Israelis were itching to go, okay? If we keep going a little bit more, keep the embargo going, take out their infrastructure, put them on their backs, gasping their last breath, then you'll see how fast they come to the bargaining table. Okay, come on in. You can take the nuclear dust. We don't know what this deal is going to be on Friday, but there's a lot of trepidation, folks, and I'm hoping and I'm praying that what J.D. Vance and what President Trump are saying, that they don't get any money until we get the dust, is actually what's in that deal. If that's the case, we're in a good place. If not, we're going to be revisiting this again in 60 days, folks, very close to the midterms. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's keep the prayers going. Let's hope that this thing is resolved to the benefit of the people of the United States of America. And we'll be back next week to fill you in on exactly what it says this Friday in that deal. So be back with us next week on the right side. See you then.
We stand tall and free in the America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be. America First Warehouse, a beacon for all to see, a symbol of hope, a symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we stand tall and free in the America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.